In early 1873, the empress dowagers Cixi and Ci'an journeyed to the eastern Qing tombs, situated more than 120 kilometers east of the Forbidden City. Once there, they carefully examined various locations suitable for building their own tombs. Upon returning to Beijing, the two empress dowagers promptly issued an order to commence construction of their final resting places. Eight ministers were appointed to supervise this project, including Yisong, Prince Duan, Yixuan, Prince Chuan, and Mingshan, the Grand Minister Supervisor of the Imperial household. Yet only 3 of them had any experience managing the construction of a tomb. So to ensure the project was a success, they needed an expert to help with planning and construction. After some discussion, they identified the perfect candidate. They soon summoned Lei Siqi, the 6th generation of the Yangshi Lei family. The 2 most prominent princes of the Qing Dynasty wanted to meet with him. Since 1852, Lei Siqi had participated in the design and construction of several imperial tombs. He'd also played a direct role in selecting locations for the tombs of Empress Dowagers Cixi and Ci'an. After earning the trust of princes and ministers, he was unanimously selected as the project's expert. It should have been an honor to receive such a crucial assignment, but Lei Siqi hesitated. He explained to the 8 ministers that his family lacked the necessary manpower, and he was worried he wouldn't be able to fulfill such an important task.
就他觉得当时雷家的这个力量可能有点不足以支撑去完成就陵寝大公这么庞大的一个工程，然后所以是想就推掉这件事情。然后醇亲王说就说不论就这门差事就是你们家的独门，然后所以不管怎么样你们都得给接下来。
After careful consideration, Lei Siqi reluctantly agreed to take on responsibility for constructing the tombs for Empress Dowagers. The Lei family's involvement in designing and constructing tombs started with the 4th generation, Lei Jiaxi. By Lei Siqi's generation, the Yangshi Lei had gained the trust and recognition of the imperial family. Most of the Lei family's younger members were still minors. Besides Lei Siqi, only 29-year-old Lei Tingchang, 41-year-old Lei Siqi, and 20-year-old Lei Tingfang were able to participate in the work of the Yangshi office. Designing and constructing tombs for the 2 Empress Dowagers at the same time was indeed a complex and challenging task.
定东陵第一卷就是选址，有50多章。第1章是定陵绘制孝陵神路地盘画样全图。东西对称。
Experts from the map team at the National Library of China are compiling photocopies of the Dingdong Mausoleum section of the Yangshi Lei archives.
12、13是平顶山平阁样，这平阁网相当于是它的比例尺嘛，都有什么9寸、5分的上出平。
The Yangshi Lei archives include nearly 1,000 documents on the Dingdong Mausoleum, where Cixi and Ci'an were laid to rest, covering site selection, design, construction, arrangement, and management.
从测绘、选址、打地基开始，然后一直到最后这个建筑建成，然后里边就相当于从外到内，就是雷家要一直就从头负责到尾，所以它的这个技术细节涵盖的是整个工程的方方面面。
This grid drawing of Putuoyu and Puxiangyu, the respective tombs of Cixi and Ci'an, was created during the site selection process. The intersecting points are marked with terrain information in Suzhou numerals, which were recorded by Lei Siqi and the craftsmen of the Yangshi office during their survey. In 1866, during the process to select a site for the empress dowager's tombs, Lei Siqi paid a visit to the eastern Qing tombs in today's Zunhua, Hebei province, to explore several potential locations. He adhered to strict procedures in surveying and designing the tombs. The process began with a terrain survey. A grid of uniform squares was first sketched on the site using white chalk. Then the height of each intersection was carefully measured and recorded. Lei Siqi recorded the information using Suzhou numerals, which were commonly used in China before the introduction of Arabic numerals. Once the Feng Shui masters had identified the site's center point, the craftsmen would establish a grid system of 16 meters by 16 meters, extending outwards in 4 directions. They would measure the height of each intersecting point and record them using Suzhou numerals. The resulting illustration is referred to as a grid drawing.
这应该是最靠北的一页，对吧？那我们再看一下穴中以北的这个点，这个是下3尺2寸8分。
By inputting the numbers from the grid drawings into the computer as plane coordinates, modern architects can generate a 3D model of the surface. In fact, the grid method aligns with the core concept of modern digital elevation models constructed through computer-based land surveys and mapping.
一种计量的、精确计量的记录原始地形地貌的方法，就是中国古代等高线图。借着央视大量应用的评格的方法，我们也就解开了一个中国古代测量技术当中、制图学当中的一个千古的疑难。
Lei Siqi used the grid method to design the Dingdong Mausoleum. He considered and utilized the site's natural terrain, carefully incorporating the principles of Feng Shui into the design to plan the layout. Lei Siqi also applied the grid method to the auxiliary design of certain architectural parts. The design drawing of the tortoise-mounted stele in the stele pavilion on the spirit path of the Dingdong Mausoleum shows that he used this method to refine the proportions of the stele's side elevation. Taking on the task of building the mausoleum for the two empress dowagers, Lei Siqi was conflicted. His hesitation stemmed not from unwillingness, but from his poor health. In his youth, he had deeply feared tarnishing the family legacy that his ancestors had painstakingly built. As a result, he worked relentlessly, disregarding his well-being and immersing himself totally in each project. Unfortunately, this intense work ethic, combined with the pressure and his pursuit of perfection, took a severe toll on his health.
雷思齐也是一个异常稳重的人，就是能够在家信中看到，就是他对他自己的儿子以及侄子做非常多的叮嘱，就比如说千万要处理好在工地上和这些官员的关系，然后千万要这个谨慎，就是自己的这个工作千万不能就是出现错误，然后也是一再强调说这个皇家工程非常的重要。
While Qing Dynasty tombs adhered to specific regulations, factors such as feng shui, the terrain and the preferences of a tomb's owner meant designers needed to exhibit a highly sophisticated skill in crafting the spatial layout of architectural clusters. These aspects posed the most significant challenges for designers of imperial architecture. Lei Siqi was fully aware that constructing imperial tombs was the most intricate among all types of imperial architecture. Despite his health struggles, he insisted on personally handling every aspect, including mundane tasks like surveying mountains. Having experienced the darkest days of his family's history in his youth, he harbored a persistent dream of restoring the Yangshi Lei to its former glory. The eastern Qing tombs in Zunhua offer a captivating sight. On the southern foothills of Changrui Mountain, two identical tombs stand side by side. This is the Ding Dong Mausoleum, the final resting place of Empress Dowagers Cixi and Ci'an. Lei Siqi's initial design for the tombs bore little resemblance to the eventual outcome. This represents Lei Siqi's initial design, following the rules and regulations of imperial tombs established in the previous dynasty. The drawing indicates his intention to incorporate the underground palaces of Cixi and Ci'an into a single tomb, sharing most structures. However, Cixi rejected this proposal. The relationship between Cixi and Ci'an was a delicate one. Ci'an was the late Emperor Xianfeng's empress consort, while Cixi was the biological mother of the emperor, Tongzhi. Despite their appearance of sisterly closeness, they were in fact involved in a bitter power struggle. Although aligned with established practices, having the two empress dowagers share the same tomb overlooked the intricate dynamics within the imperial family. After grasping the individual requirements of Cixi and Ci'an, Lei Siqi revised his initial layout. Instead, he designed two identical tombs side by side. It was an unprecedented break from the norm, yet the two empress dowagers were highly satisfied.
所以醇亲王在就是样式雷做这个烫样的时候，专门嘱咐了他们说，千万这两个陵的这个模型要做的一模一样，就是特意给他们做了交代，然后也从这个字里行间中也能够看出，就当时两宫太后一个非常微妙的这样一个关系。
The rivalry between these two powerful women created a precarious situation for the ministers overseeing the construction. Despite obvious challenges, those involved in the project worked tirelessly, striving for perfection. To maintain a harmonious aesthetic and balance the relationship between the empress dowagers, Lei Siqi adjusted the axis of the tombs and the alignment of the architectural cluster. Throughout the design process, which was both physically and mentally demanding, he directed the craftsmen of the Yangshi office in creating numerous plans for the overall layout and individual buildings. Construction of the Ding Dong Mausoleum officially commenced in August 1873. Each tomb features a spirit path stele pavilion, a three-hole bridge, a long N gate, a long N hall, east and west side halls, a Fang Cheng Soul Tower, a treasure castle, a tomb mound, and an underground palace. The tombs surpass those for all previous empresses in both size and configuration, making them truly unique. Qing Imperial tombs were intricately designed to match with the natural landscape. Imperial architects would survey the surroundings and blend man-made structures with the elegance of nature to achieve a harmonious spatial arrangement. This stands as a prime example of imperial tomb architecture and represents the pinnacle of ancient Chinese architectural artistry. Work to build Ding Dong Mausoleum was halted after just a month in September 1873 due to adverse weather conditions. Lei Siqi, who had just returned to Beijing, had no time to rest before Cheng Ming, a minister from the Imperial Household Department, paid him a visit. To Lei Siqi's surprise, the purpose of Cheng Ming's visit was to inquire about a drawing of Old Summer Palace. "13 years earlier, British and French Allied forces had pillaged this imperial garden during their invasion. As this was happening, Lei Siqi's father, Lei Tingxiu, had bravely led people in relocating drawings and wax models from the Yangshi office in the garden to the Lei family home, ensuring their safety. This preserved invaluable records on the design and construction of Qing Imperial architecture for future generations. The Lei family allocated 3 rooms exclusively for storing these materials. Even though 13 years had elapsed, Lei Siqi was aware that among these precious drawings was a complete drawing of old summer palace's 3 gardens at their zenith. Chengming departed with a sense of relief after receiving the desired response. It was at this point Lei Siqi had a premonition that the Lei family was about to witness another significant event. Recent news from the Forbidden City revealed that Emperor Tongzhi was resolute in rebuilding the old summer palace despite facing substantial opposition. The day after Chengming's departure, another peculiar incident occurred. Gui Bao, a director from the Imperial Household Department, visited Lei Siqi to directly convey the emperor's request to see the drawing of the 3 gardens of the old summer palace.
我理解就是应该说他打破了以往的这个流程，因为之前的逻辑程序往往是皇帝下达命令，传递给大臣、主管大臣再去转达。那我们在同治末年的这些私域党啊，包括雷氏的日记里面都能看到，皇帝就直接通过大臣马上要召见，要在什么地方等，要拿什么图给这个太后看，是吧？所以这些能反映出来，其实当时非常急迫。
The emperor's request for the drawing was likely connected to Empress Dowager Cixi, who would turn 40 the following year. Cixi held a profound attachment to this imperial garden. In her youth, Cixi resided in Old Summer Palace with Emperor Xianfeng for an extended period, fostering fond memories. Her love for the lakes, mountains, grass and trees there ran deep. During her regency, Cixi had contemplated rebuilding it numerous times, but each time was dissuaded by the prohibitive costs. During that period, the Qing Empire endured a series of conflicts, including the Taiping Rebellion and the invasion by Anglo-French forces. The treasury was depleted, making it impossible to allocate funds for this project. Cixi's proposal faced strong opposition from senior ministers, including Prince Gong. Cixi was always a headstrong individual. Those who opposed the plan were removed from their positions, either by being fired or transferred. Emperor Tongzhi was initially opposed to the reconstruction. So until it was officially announced, he kept it confidential that preparations were being made for the project. Cixi, who had been acting as regent, transferred power to Emperor Tongzhi in 1873. Consequently, the new ruler felt compelled to consider initiating the reconstruction project to please her. Cixi summoned the Grand Ministers and expressed that the hall of mental cultivation, the emperor's residence, was too cramped. It was a clear signal of her desire to rebuild the old summer palace. The Grand Ministers understood her intention and raised the topic of rebuilding the Imperial garden at the Imperial court. After all, Emperor Tongzhi was still young and inexperienced. He didn't dare to defy Cixi's wishes. With the political situation stable, the emperor decided to embrace the idea to fulfill his mother's desire to celebrate her 40th birthday in Old Summer Palace. That fall, Emperor Tongzhi issued an imperial edict officially announcing the reconstruction. Returning to the ruins of Old Summer Palace, Lei Siqi was overwhelmed with emotion. "18 years had passed since he served as his father's assistant in the restoration and expansion projects of this imperial garden, then aged 30. Now, thanks to his father's preservation of crucial drawings, they had a reference for the original construction, a garden that had absorbed generations of the Lei family's hard work and dedication. Finally, there was an opportunity to restore it to its former glory. Tongzhi and Cixi were both optimistic about restoring work, partly due to the fact some buildings had survived the devastating fire of 1860. They planned to construct a series of architectural complexes showcasing the young emperor's power and determination, encompassing at least 3,000 halls and rooms. Despite the vast scale of the project, Tongzhi and Cixi insisted that the Yangshi office and the construction teams complete it in less than a year.
现在能明确断代的属于这个，同治13年重修圆明园这个工程的图纸，其实它的量，并不是很多。然后，所以我们也能够在随工日记上看到，它就是为了赶工期，所以它就会迅速的就进入烫样阶段。就实际上就是现存的圆明园的烫样，几乎都是在同治13年重修圆明园那一次工程中留下的。
Inside the National Museum of China is a relatively inconspicuous artifact, a wax model of a palace crafted by the Lei family during the restoration of the Old Summer Palace. This is known as Tiandi Yi Jia Chun, the Hall of Heaven and Earth United in Spring. The Hall of Heaven and Earth United in Spring was the name of a palace hall in it. It was one of Cixi's first residences after becoming Emperor Xianfeng's concubine. This wax model intricately captures the various elements of the hall's interior, with the exterior walls adorned with the Chinese character for longevity, vividly showcasing the overall appearance of the hall. The project prioritized the space for official business and imperial residential palaces, with special emphasis on the Hall of Heaven and Earth United in spring, Cixi's residential palace. Cixi renamed the newly constructed palace on the original site as Cheng'an Hall. The Hall of Heaven and Earth United in spring was relocated to Fuchuan Hall in the Qichuan Garden, the largest piece of land in the garden.
启春园是主要承担的这个皇太后居住的场所，尤其是道光朝以后，因为畅春园逐渐破败了嘛，就开始把皇太后接到了启春园来住，所以在这次重修里面，就有大量的图档反映了天地压春移到启春园的这样一个总平面的布局，乃至单体的设计。
The design concepts for this building complex are clearly conveyed in the Lei family's drawings. This was the first time the young emperor and the empress dowager had collaborated on the construction of an imperial garden, and both were filled with enthusiasm. Cixi even personally designed the motifs for the ornamentation. Tongzhi and Cixi were so particular about the overall design of the Hall of Heaven and Earth United in spring that they summoned Lei Siqi and his son 5 times during their production of the wax model to review and revise the design. The official reconstruction of the old summer palace began in the first month of 1874, marking the Imperial Garden's first major restoration since its destruction by the Anglo-French forces. Emperor Tongzhi made 4 visits during the spring and summer of that year to oversee the project. He reviewed design drawings on site, offered comments on the plans, and issued instructions for revisions. In the initial phase of reconstruction, the Lei family's records often contained instructions from Tongzhi and Cixi, such as hurry, with utmost urgency, and quickly.
我们能看到最紧张的，几乎就是要求2天到3天再改一遍方案，甚至把烫样加工出来，而且不是一个建筑群的烫样，是多个建筑的烫样加工出来，所以这是一个高频次的一个工作。
It meant that Lei Siqi and the craftsmen from the Yangshi office had to work around the clock. Lei Siqi became so engrossed in his work, in fact, that he overlooked his physical ailment. As he had missed the heyday of the Imperial Garden and the Qing Dynasty, his sole desire was to witness the rebirth of the old summer palace and contribute to its revival. Having witnessed its devastation at the hands of the Anglo-French forces, he hoped the restoration effort would bring solace to his ancestors. In his diary, he wrote, "I'll fulfill the expectations placed on me. It's not for wealth, but because my ancestors were in charge of the decoration of the structures. Honored to contribute to His Majesty's old summer palace reconstruction, I'm grateful for the Lord's trust and family reputation, allowing me to carry on the Nanmu woodwork legacy. I'll do my utmost for the task." Lei Siqi led the craftsmen from the Yangshi office in creating more than 100 wax models and drawings for the reconstruction project. In the most intense phase, Cixi directed the emperor to issue an imperial decree promoting Lei Siqi to the position of second-rank official and Lei Tingqiang to third-rank official, a gesture of respect toward the Yangshi Lei family.
这个赏顶戴这个事儿发生在样式雷家，或者作为一个样子匠，或者更广义来讲是一个工匠阶层或者体系的这样一个人，但当然对于雷家来说是一个非常荣耀的一个事。
Attaining the status of a second-rank official was the highest recognition a Yangshi office artisan could achieve during the Qing Dynasty. This honor marked the pinnacle of the Yangshi Lei family's grandeur. It also proved to be their final accolade. The extensive reconstruction of the old summer palace was carried out amid a severe financial crisis for the Qing government. The 19-year-old emperor opted to raise funds from court officials, urging them to donate according to their means. Consequently, all ranked officials from the court collectively contributed over 230,000 taels of silver, along with various other income totaling 400,000 taels. Yet this amount proved to be meager compared with the enormous costs of the reconstruction project. Shortly after work commenced, there was astonishment as the wood in the warehouse quickly depleted. Lei Siqi had tried hard to acquire wood from the fallen palaces in the Imperial Gardens in West Beijing, but this had amounted to less than 1/10 of what was needed for the project. He encountered numerous challenges in sourcing, acquiring and transporting precious wood, and sometimes had to cover the expenses himself.
他曾经有写这个禀文给这个就是主管的这个内务府的官员，然后就说自工程开始他已经垫付了很多钱，然后希望能够就是解决这一部分的经费。当然就从文献档案记载并没有下文了，就是我们不知道是不是最后把这笔钱支付给了他们。
Facing the exorbitant cost of rebuilding the old summer palace, a considerable number of Qing officials advocated for either a delay or a complete halt to the project. Ministers such as Prince Gong, Prince Chuan, and Grand Secretary Wen Xiang pointed out the project's shortcomings and offered earnest suggestions to the emperor. In response, Emperor Tongzhi, in a moment of anger, retorted, "Why don't you come and sit on the throne?" During the deadlock between the emperor and his ministers, an incident occurred that thoroughly disrupted the reconstruction project. A man named Li Guangzhao, who claimed to be a standby prefect, offered to provide timber. However, colluding with officials in the imperial household, he falsely recorded a shipment of wood valued at 50,000 taels of silver as 300,000 taels, allowing him to profit from the situation. To make things worse, he had no idea what type of wood was needed for the project, so the materials he actually did acquire were unsuitable. Upon learning about Li Guangzhao's deceit, Emperor Tongzhi ordered his dismissal and handed him over for prosecution by Li Hongjiang, a powerful minister during the Tongzhi period. Li Guangzhao's fate was execution. The scandal created such an uproar that the emperor had to issue an imperial decree on July 29, 1874, ordering the immediate halt of all activities at the old summer palace. The reconstruction project, which had already incurred a cost exceeding 480,000 taels of silver, was abandoned.
即使在这样一个背景下，就是圆明园依然是选择了一个今天来看也是一个天文数字的维修量，大概有数千间的房子要去在这个过程中进行重修，所以这也是导致后面这次重修活动无疾而终的这样一个我觉得是重要的原因，就是规模太庞大了。
4 months later, the young emperor fell ill. He passed away in December 1874 at the tender age of 19. The 3-year-old Emperor Guangxu ascended to the throne, with Cixi and Ci'an resuming their roles as regents. However, Cixi's desire to celebrate her 40th birthday in the Hall of Heaven and Earth United in spring had been thwarted. By this time, Lei Siqi had been overseeing the reconstruction of the old summer palace, construction of the Dingdong Mausoleum, and design of the Beihai, Zhonghai, and Nanhai Lake areas in Beijing. The overwhelming workload strained his already weakened body. Despite the cancellation of the reconstruction project, construction of the Dingdong Mausoleum for Cixi and Ci'an continued. Lei Siqi was also now tasked with building the Huiling tomb for the recently deceased Emperor Tongzhi. He remained dedicated to these various projects. Despite the throne changing hands, Lei Siqi and his Yangshi office proved indispensable. Yet the relentless demands of imperial projects took a toll on Lei Siqi. He died in December 1876 at the age of 51. He had witnessed the reigns of 4 emperors, Dao Guang, Xianfeng, Tongzhi, and Guangxu. The Dingling Tomb, Dingdong Mausoleum, Huiling Tomb, and the Beihai, Zhonghai, and Nanhai Lake areas were all constructed under his leadership, along with many mansions and gardens. He also oversaw reconstruction of the old summer palace until the project was abandoned midway. His life was marked by significant accomplishments. Lei Siqi elevated the Yangshi Lei family to the pinnacle of artisan achievement, coinciding with the zenith of traditional Chinese building techniques. As the Qing Dynasty approached its conclusion, this enduring architectural lineage, spanning more than 200 years, stood on the brink of the epilogue for imperial construction projects.